This is a spoiler review for Babylon. If you have not seen Babylon and you don't want to be spoiled, then you should just hit pause right now and come back after you have seen the film. If you've seen Babylon and you don't care about spoilers, then listen on. So spoilers for Babylon. Zach, what about the trumpet player?
Yeah.
Oh, just okay. So he's introduced only so that there can be this one scene, right? The climactic scene where he has to make a decision. Does he darken his face so that he blends in with the players around him because that's what the producers want, so that it'll sell better in the South, whatever.
Lighting and all
I
that
just
kind
have
of stuff.
so many questions about this scene. Like, why didn't they just like change the lighting so he's not as bright? That's number one. Number two, his decision is, okay, I will do it because all these people will not get paid in my band if I don't do it. But as soon as it's over, I'm quitting, right? And I just feel like he's been successful at this point. Why not just not do it and then pay the salary of all those bandmates that they would have made for this? Why'd he do it?
I thought the implication was if he didn't do it, he would appear white. And then
no, if he didn't do it, they wouldn't keep doing the movie. They would shut down the movie.
They were shut down the movie. Okay. I
Yeah,
thought it
and
was
none of
he was
those
going to
people would
appear
get
white,
paid.
and then it wouldn't sell or something like that.
No, I mean, that's what they were saying. They were saying, like,
Okay.
you need to appear blacker.
Yeah.
And we don't want the
Otherwise,
audience
we're
to
stopping
think you're white.
production because we know it won't sell.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah. And so he did it for his other bandmates that they would still get paid. But I think at this point he'd already made a number of films. They paid him a lot of money to switch over to the new studio. He should have just paid their salaries and not done it. I mean, obviously I'm not in that situation, but he quit anyways. So
yeah, I think if this was a better written movie, they would have tried more logically figure this out. But the point of that scene was this very skin deep commentary on the racism of Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, more broadly, because I thought the performance was fine from the actor playing that character. But more broadly, it was like, okay, it's you're squeezing this little bit of commentary on the racist past of Hollywood into this other movie, and you're at the same time not giving that character enough screen time to make sense of a decision like that. You know what I mean? Or even build up to the fact that that is a problem at all.
Right. Yeah. The only thing they built up to the fact is that he always played like sharp or flat. Like they pressed on that hard.
No, it was a saxophone player. He was good after a saxophone player for always being out of tune. But you're right, that was his personality. Was he plays trumpet and he's got a really good ear and will not fire the guy who can't play in tune.
But I found it interesting that like that character wasn't given enough screen time to be a fully fleshed out person. And that's the problem. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're going to point to the racist past of Hollywood, it's not the only problem, but it's one of the problems with, how race has been depicted in older Hollywood movies, and some recent ones.
Same for the Asian woman where she's introduced. We learn that she works behind the scenes writing the dialogue for silent movies. And then I don't think, and she's like, oh, this is all I can do in this town. Do we even see her anymore after that? Or she just kind of dropped from the movie?
We don't see her after the snake scene. That's the last time we see her.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She is at the snake scene and plays a role in that. And then gone for and snake scene's halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Right. And then she's gone. So. Yeah. That Tobey Maguire party, that just seemed like just to be there to shock and disgust you.
There's a lot of that going on in this movie.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I was already shocked and disgusted. Like, I was already on board with the level of shock and disgust that they were giving me. Because they kind of, they gave it to you a lot at the beginning, and then they really focused more on the production side of things, which I thought was interesting. And then we just go to, like, this terrible underground party, which seems like, I don't even know if those ever existed in real life anywhere. And I just felt like I was in a different movie altogether.
Yeah, I mean, even if it did exist at some point in Hollywood, like maybe there is a story that's real and that happened. I'm sure it didn't happen. I'm sure all of these things didn't happen to all these characters in this order type of thing. It just doesn't seem like the movie wanted to be that, and he was constantly making the movie that. I don't know. It doesn't feel like, looking at his body of work, I don't understand how you go from the movies he's made to this one and be like, it reminds me of when Miley Cyrus decided to become, a pop star. like almost like somebody just trying to be like, not that he was clean before. I mean, there's cursing and Whiplash. It's about hard topics. You know what I mean? But it feels like he was like, this is what you think I am, but I can be this. Even if you don't like this, this is what I can be. And so that's what I'm going to do for 3 hours.
And what I don't understand is, at the end of the movie, what are we supposed to take from this montage of the history of film?
Oh my God, that
where he's
montage.
like crying when he sees it. Like, is it like all of this is worth it because it gives us movies? Like, what is the meaning?
Yeah, it has this weird power of cinema ending to it.
Mm-hmm.
And James, I think you're right. I think the message is supposed to be like, the sausage, no one wants to see how the sausage is made, but everyone loves the final product.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's all worth it because of this. But then just to like give me clips of other movies within this movie.
Right. It's
like
so weird.
It was out of context, because it wasn't, the character wasn't seeing, like the character's, by the way, the character's watching Singing in the Rain, which is referenced earlier in this movie when there's like people singing the song Singing in the Rain. And I'm like, wait, that's not an old song. That song was written for that musical. So, okay. Like, I thought that was a cute little maybe nod to the parallels, but then he straight up sees Singing in the Rain like in the 50s, and it reminds him of his life and Margot Robbie. I'm like, so is this movie supposed to be a remake? Like, I felt the same as you, Zach. Are we remaking Singing in the Rain? Are we saying that Singing in the Rain is the sanitized version of Babylon? Is Damien Chazelle trying to say my movie is as important as Singing in the Rain? I don't know why.
Yeah. And it was weird seeing a clip of Avatar in this movie.
Avatar.
And The Matrix.
Yeah. Right. So they did like 2001. They did Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I said to myself, where's Jurassic Park? Like, kind of snarkily. And then there was a Jurassic Park scene. I was like, sorry. Stupid movie.
Yeah, it was pretty, in a movie that is intended to be shocking repeatedly. It was kind of shocking when all of a sudden The Matrix was in front of me.
Right. Avatar.
Right. I mean, I understand what he was going for, and I kind of wish that was the end of the movie. Like, literally, like, you montage to the credits, and then you're like, okay, I know I just blew your mind here, whether he did or didn't.
Not Diego Calva crying over watching Singing in the Rain.
All right. I again, as a fan of messy movies, I freaking love that montage. It's amazing. It absolutely should not be in this movie. Yet it's there.
I want that montage. I would watch that montage again for sure.
Yeah.
Not in this context though. I don't know. I mean, I understand the cultural impact of Avatar kind of, but I wouldn't put it in the same class as Jurassic Park or 2001 or Citizen Kane or even The Matrix.
Why was he not shot?
I think because he was so pathetic.
They care about that?
I don't know. I don't know many hitmen.
No, but this is the crowd that like goes to the cave parties.
I know, exactly.
They care that he's begging. I'm sure everyone begs.
I was more bothered that his roommate was named Kyle, which I don't think was a very popular name back in the 1920s. Like, the Kyle roommate seems like such a post 90s trope. Like, where's my roommate Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zach, you could look up the little curve of the popularity of Kyle. Yeah, I don't know why that hitman didn't kill that guy, because he's a hitman. His job is to kill people for money. Like, he doesn't care about who they are as people. Like, he shot Kyle, no problem. Kyle wasn't even on the list. He just busted and started shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Kyle.
Did you find the little popularity curve for Kyle?
No.
Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't spike until the early 80s.
Well, this is Hollywood. They all had alternative names.
Yeah, but he wasn't an actor. He was just my roommate, Kyle.
That's true.
Who's the most famous Kyle?
Probably Kyle. Oh my God, what's his name? The guy from Twin Peaks and all those.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah, but Kyle MacLachlan. Yeah, I would say Kyle MacLachlan's probably the most famous Kyle. Do you guys think of a more famous Kyle?
No. There's probably one out there though.
I'm trying to think in sports if there's a famous Kyle.
There's a Kyle Busch who's a NASCAR driver.
Yeah. There's a Kyle Peterson who's a baseball player.
There's Kyle Broflovsky from South Park.
Wow, there's no famous Kyles.
Kyle MacLachlan, I think he's your most famous one.
Well, yeah, but he's not famous.
I'm saying he's your most famous one.
Right, absolutely. I'm just saying there's no uber famous Kyles.
Right, he's not Brad Pitt famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's lots of people named Brad Pitt. So,
I mean, lots of people named Brad.
Yeah, I also feel like there's a couple moments in this movie that are unabashedly trying to be high points that you would find in a movie like Pulp Fiction or Boogie Nights or something like that. Like the snake scene felt so manufactured to be a moment like that.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly manufactured.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to be talking about the snake scene next weekend.
And the soundstage scene, as much as I loved it, absolutely felt like a rip of the scene from the Coen brothers.
Would that
movie.
I were, yeah, so simple, yeah.
Right.
Oh, so I haven't seen Hail Caesar, but I've seen some comparisons between the two.
Hail Caesar's a lot better than this.
Okay.
Yes.
Part of this fake history of Hollywood had to do with people dying all the time. Like people did die while movies were made in the 20s at a much more frequently rate than they do now, which would be unheard of for people dying on set, unless it's a tragic accident. And in this movie, every time they're filming a scene, someone's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't think even back then it wasn't that bad. Yes, people did die during filming, but they weren't just dropping left and rights and then being like, oh, whatever, who cares?
When I was a kid, I thought that if someone died on screen, that they actually died in real life. They just paid the stuntmen enough money to be willing to die on screen.
So you understood that it wasn't Brad Pitt dying, it was his stuntman that was dying.
Yes, the stuntmen were dying, yeah.
You're like, they wouldn't kill Brad Pitt. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of this though. I enjoyed all the production stuff, like the outdoor set where she's doing the crying and stuff like that. I liked it. In fact, if they had just followed her for 2 hours, like a nice tight 2 hours, and you saw an actress go through this from one end to the other, I think you got something there.
Even she wasn't given an ending.
Right.
She walked off into the fog, and then he reads he reads in the corner actress dead.
Yeah,
20 years later or something like that.
And the Lee Jun Lee character, like the Asian woman.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean,
gone.
Right. There's stuff in there over the course of the movie, but it's like, what are we doing here?
What are we James, I'm so surprised by your 3.5 because you're like, I really like this movie. And then 2 minutes later, what are we doing here?
I mean, have you seen Southland Tales? The back half of that, they go up into a spaceship for no reason. And then you spend 30 minutes in a spaceship. And it's the exact same question I asked myself the first time I saw that movie. It's like, what is this?
Would have been a better ending is they did that montage and then they CG'd Diego Calva's character into every single scene that they're montaging.
I mean,
I would have been more on board with that.
Sure. That would have been a decision for sure. Not that this is a Southland Tales podcast, but
okay.
Once they go up into the spaceship, Kevin Smith shows up in that movie. In a spaceship in Southland Tales in the last half an hour of the movie. So not only have you been taken up into a spaceship, They forwarded the timeline like 300 years, and Kevin Smith is standing there on the spaceship. Anyway, there's not moments that wacky in this, but there's just a lot of questionable decisions that I feel had motivations. They just seemed so wrongly led or wrongly. I don't even have a problem with the execution or the attempt. It's just, I don't know how on paper you point to some things and say, yeah, this makes sense, or we've given enough time for this to, really take hold what we're trying to get at here. Which is crazy because it's a 3-hour movie. They had plenty of time to do what they needed to do. And I think instead they were just more interested in shocking people.
Yeah.
Than telling a compelling story. And I think that's what keeps it from being a great movie. Is it a good movie? I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Do you remember there was one point at the end of the movie where they cut back to the beginning at the party where she's dancing? And you kind of for a second have a sense like, wait, was this all a dream? Like, and we've never left the party. It was so out of place. Do you remember that?
Fueled dream. Yes.
I don't know.
Was that part of the montage that they?
Yes.
Did he include his own movie in the montage of great movies?
I don't know.
I believe he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie has a 3.8 on Letterboxd, which I think is a pretty discerning crowd, and they love this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it does have things to like about it, and it's a big swing from respected filmmakers. I think it defended a lot on Letterboxd because
maybe, yeah,
pretentious film nerds. But I think your average moviegoer would not like this in general. I think they would have had a better shot were it closer to 2 hours runtime. I think your average person would see this in a theater and by hour 2 just be like, how long is this again?
Megan and I were going to go see this in the theater on a day where we both had off from work and Galen was with grandparents. And then we saw the runtime and we are like, is, a day off, do we want to spend 3 hours in the movie theater? Is that, I think, the best use of our kid-free time here? Sure. So we opted not to go. And I'm like, I'll go see it myself. I am so glad that she and I did not go see this together because I think she would have definitely left that like, this was a waste of 3 hours. Here are all the things I could have been doing during this time besides watching this movie.
Yeah, I also really like the scene where they're filming the crowd shots outside, the war scenes. And again, all the production stuff I loved. I just wish they had more of that with like one, maybe two, maybe you just have the Margot Robbie and the Diego Calva characters.
Yeah.
And it's their story of like, the guy working his way up and the attractive lady who gets fame immediately and then loses it over the course. Like that's an interesting enough dichotomy to me for a 2 hour, interestingly told period piece. And instead it's just all this other stuff muddling the works.
And we could have cut Singing from the Rain completely from this movie.
Yeah, and all the elephant poop does not need to be there. Literally, you could start this movie with like the sun going down and them arriving at the mansion. It would have been the
Why
same
was the
movie.
guy throwing grass at the elephant? Was he trying to get it to poop?
He's trying to get it to make it lighter. Yeah, because
by throwing grass at it.
Well, he's trying to feed it to push out what was already in it. I mean, you're also adding mass to the elephant, right. So I don't know if the grass had less mass than the poop that was inside.
So that was his plan, but yet he was standing in the splash zone. Like this is all on him, right? I mean,
I thought the other guy I'm not sure who got the poop on him.
The guy throwing grass was the one that got pooped on.
Okay, so that grass is already. Let's do the physics here. That grass is already in the truck, so that grass is not adding any mass to that. That mass is already included in that whole contraption. So the only thing you can do is lose mass by getting the elephant to poop.
I am not concerned about the mass of the grass.
Okay, so the plan is sound. You're wondering who got pooped on.
I did not get the sense that he was throwing it at the trunk of the elephant. The trunk of the elephant was. What? Yeah.
Elephant doesn't eat from their trunk; they eat from their mouth.
Yeah, but they pick it up with their trunk.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the mouth is just open and he was just throwing it.
No. This is nowhere near the mouth whatsoever. This is at the leg, the back leg. He's throwing it.
I think we just read a great letter about this.
We are in the weeds for sure.
It just makes no sense. If he's intentionally trying to make it poop, why is he standing underneath where the elephant poops?
No, he's feeding the elephant from like the back of the cab of the truck. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, someone goes behind the elephant. Oh, because someone's pushing, right? They're pushing.
Right.
Isn't it like the big guy who shows up who doesn't realize there's going to be an elephant? He's pushing the back of the truck. There's another guy in the truck. There's 3 people in that scene. There's Diego Calva, his partner, and then the guy who shows up with the truck who didn't know there'd be an elephant.
That guy is the one?
That guy's pushing the back of the truck because the truck can't come up the hill. Diego Calva's driving. The partner's feeding the elephant to get to poop. So then that guy gets pooped on.
The partner.
Not the partner. The
driver.
The guy who showed up with the truck in the first place.
Okay.
Who's out back pushing. Yeah.
Okay. I mixed up who got pooped on.
That there's so many people get so many bodily fluids on them. It's easy to forget who did what to whom.
Yeah. This movie goes out of its way to have every type of bodily fluid. It's like, okay, here's blood, here's venom, here, just everything. Yeah.
It really does. Anything else spoiler for Babylon?
I was just watching this scene and thinking 20 years ago, Kubrick couldn't get his big orgy films. They had to put little like black characters to like hide it. And then this movie, like, no one cares. Just put whatever you want on there. Rated R. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think 2001 was a little more.
99.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It was a little more conservative than today, for sure.
Yeah, apparently.
And I also think Eyes Wide Shut was a little more of an intense of a movie. As like here, it's a weird, like that scene at the beginning is, first of all, it comes right after the scene we just discussed in great agonizing detail. And 2, it kind of feels like a scene out of La La Land, but with nudity and cocaine. And it was just kind of like, okay, so that this is what this movie is going to be. And then it turns out it's not that, kind of. It keeps the same pace through the whole movie, but it's not a musical.
No, it's
even
not.
Though it's a movie that has a lot of music in it. But all right, final thoughts for Babylon.
I'm sticking with my 2.5. Or 2.
Same.
I'm going to stick with my 3.5 as well. Because I think only time will change my my star rating. I think maybe in a year I'll revisit it and it'll either go, what was I thinking? Or it'll go, this is even more interesting to me now a year later. We'll see.
Yeah.
We will see.
We'll see indeed.
All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.